This is Chargers Now. I am your host, Will Ortner, and today I've got some good news for Chargers fans because I think the NFL offseason and in particular NFL free agency has been very frustrating for a lot of fans of our favorite team in LA. The Chargers have not made a ton of big moves. It felt like early on there were a couple of big signings going out and getting a top-tier fullback and Alec Ingold going and signing a big-time center in Tyler Biadasz, and then the Chargers, well, they really didn't do a whole lot. But I actually think that this is going to be a good thing, and so does an NFL insider. We're going to get into that here in just a moment, but first I want to let you know why you should subscribe to the Chargers Now channel. We are going to cover every Chargers story, whether it's news or rumors, and we're going to make sure that we get it out to you. We are going to be your one-stop shop for all your Chargers content. All you got to do, you hit that sub button, and you help us get to 3,000 subscribers. All right, so a lot of Chargers fans, myself included, I think was a little upset with general manager Joe Hortiz and the moves that he made in free agency. Well, or I guess I should say, the lack of moves that this team has made in free agency. Obviously, the Chargers had a ton of cap space, and it does feel like this team was involved in a couple of big potential moves, especially with one Alec Pierce in Indianapolis. But then he didn't end up going to the Chargers, and now it feels like the Chargers really haven't done anything at all. So I expected this team to make more moves, and is it potentially an issue that the Chargers tried to make more moves, but they weren't able to make those moves? Or was it a type of situation where the Chargers had a clear cap number, they wanted to make moves, but if the moves were going to be too expensive, well then there was no reason to make said moves. Sports Illustrated's Albert Breer was doing a mailbag, and he was asked by a Chargers fan why didn't the Chargers make more moves and how he felt about the lack of moves that the Chargers made. And after kind of listening to what he had to say and diving into more of the information at a deeper level, the more I might agree with Albert Breer. What do you have to say? Well, we'll dive into it right here. He's responding to a lady by the name of India, and Breer says, I did not know that, India, but I would tell you that I think Joe Hortiz is one of the best evaluators in football. And I trust that certain facets of the team are going to show it when we get to the season. Now, I found 5 picks for Hortiz that I thought were very important picks for a multitude of different reasons. One, Joe Alt is a top-tier tackle in the National Football League, and he already showed that. Ladd McConkey, I think if he really grows into the type of player that we all know he can be, reaches his potential, he's going to be a prime-time wide receiver for this team and was just a year ago. Cam Hart, friend of the program, has actually appeared on the show. Great guy, and I think he's a great cornerback. Omarion Hampton, if he can stay healthy, he's going to be a great running back in this league. And, of course, you know that I cover the Oregon football team, so I'm a little bit impartial to Jamari Caldwell. So maybe I'm a bit biased on that one. But I like all of these picks, and I think that you could throw in a couple other picks as well for general manager Joe Hortiz that you would say are good, smart signings for this team. So it does feel like the Chargers are on the right path there, but with a couple of the players, especially Alt and Hampton, well, injuries kind of slow down, showing just how good they are or how good they are going to be in the National Football League. But when they were healthy, they showed good flashes. I also think that we can't just immediately judge a player and say, well, this is how good or not good they are going to be. They can clearly grow into other roles. So to me, I look at these picks and, all right, maybe general manager Joe Hortiz is on the right track. Which player is the best draft choice from general manager Joe Hortiz in your opinion? Let us know down below in the comment section. Very interested in what you have to say. I think it's pretty easy to say Joe Alt, but maybe there's someone else that you have instead. Breer also mentioned in this article that he does expect this team to get better. Now, I think some people, myself included, have a rush to judgment on certain things, and then when you immediately judge a player as good or not good or mid, whatever you want to say, it is hard for that player to beat that perception out of you. But Albert Breer thinks there's going to be a big amount of progression for a lot of key players on this team. What is less expected, though, is the progress that I think you're going to see at receiver behind 2024 second-rounder Ladd McConkey and 2025 second-rounder Trey Harris. I would love this. or the steps at the interior of the offensive line with guards Cole Strange and Trevor Penning and center Taylor Biotish in is ready to take. So what Breer is saying about Tyler Biotish and that interior offensive line is that while none of those moves are necessarily big name guys, although Biotish is on the upper end between Strange and Penning, this crew is still pretty good, or at least has the potential to be pretty good. They have the potential to take a step forward, especially with Mike McDaniel being the offensive coordinator of this team. At that wide receiver position, Ladd McConkey took a weird step back for a sophomore slump that most people probably don't expect him to take. While also at the same time, Trey Harris, there's plenty of room for him to grow. This feels like a team that has a lot of the pieces that are in the right spot, but they need growth and they need players to reach their potential. Well, here's the good thing. Coach Jim Harbaugh is known for getting players to play at the highest level. And it's also important to mention that as good as this team was last year, they were very injury riddled. So what would happen if they aren't injury riddled? Well, here's what Breer had to say on that. I think slowly and steadily the roster's been remade in Harbaugh's image, and that's what sustained it last year through a slew of injuries. I know every fan base wants to see their team take a big swing and bring in the flashy vet. The Chargers were an 11-team win team despite all the attrition. They have their core guys, and with a little internal improvement, some mid-level signings hitting, and improved health, this crew will be a threat in the AFC. I love the optimism here from Breer, and the more that I look at it, the more I agree with him. Remember, this team won 11 games last year and made the postseason. Frankly, they wouldn't have even been the 7th seed if they had played everyone against the Denver Broncos and won. So there is a potential that this Chargers team could have been an even bigger deal than they were. And that's without both of your tackles playing. That's with a slew of injuries at that running back position. It's not like the defensive crew was as healthy the entire year as possible. Shoot, your quarterback was hurt for different chunks of the season as well. So when I look at this Chargers team, maybe general manager Joe Hortiz is on the right track because while he's not making any big-time moves, he's banking on your team staying healthy. And if the Chargers stay healthy, well, damn, this is a good roster. And I don't necessarily think that the AFC has gotten that much stronger. So if the Chargers stay healthy and they continue to fight in the way that Jim Harbaugh wants this team to fight, and we know they will because everywhere that Harbaugh has gone, well, his teams have fought and they fought to the utmost degree. Well, shoot, it feels like this Chargers team is in a damn good position to be not just competing for the AFC West, not just competing to get into the postseason, but shoot, competing to be the number one team in the AFC, competing to be the team that represents the AFC in the Super Bowl. Shoot, this is a team, if everything goes the right way, why couldn't they be a Super Bowl champion? So maybe Albert Breer is onto something, and maybe we need to be a little bit more patient with general manager Joe Hortiz. Well, shoot, at least I am going to be as we go into this weekend. Will the Chargers have a successful 2026? Let me know down below in the comment section, yes or no. I think yes. And I thought that before I read this article. After reading it, I feel damn confident in it now. Thank you guys so much for viewing today's video. Make sure that you hit that sub button. We love covering the Chargers, and we love getting Chargers content out to you. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And while you're out having a wonderful weekend, make sure to bolt up.